Hello there. So, I kind of want to see if it is at all possible to build a gaming PC for under $400. I'm going to shoot for under 350, but 400 is what we'll kind of set as the max. So, first we're going to choose a CPU. Now, Ryzen has become a really good... Why is Belkin on there? Never mind. Ryzen has become a really good low-end CPU option. But in this case, I don't know if it's anything that we can really change out for like a Pentium. Or I think it might be better to get a Pentium, I should say. Because a G4560 is, well, okay, so that's 2 extra cores. So logically the Ryzen is way better. And yeah, let's just go Ryzen here. Okay, we can change that in a bit. That's already a fourth of our max budget. We don't need a cooler because the Ryzen 5 and below come with the coolers. So we'll just choose a motherboard. Now, we're going to choose a graphics card last. Although with Ryzen, I believe you need a discrete GPU, right? Does it say anywhere? Do you? You should. Integrated graphics, no. So we will need a graphics card. I may be thinking a GT 1030 if we can't fit a 1050 into the budget. But we'll worry about that in a moment. So, for pricing, we'll set that to low just so that we're not getting the $300 ones. And then we're just going to look for a good brand. An ATX is always preferable in my opinion. I built my PC with a micro ATX and I'm really annoyed that I did because there's no space on the board. They look a lot bigger in pictures than they actually are. So, pay attention to that. And yeah, so what we're going to need to do is, since this is a $50 board, let's see what it's a micro ATX, but in this case I'd say it's probably fine. It's ASRock. It's not ideal, I should make that clear. I'd probably go with an Asus like this one, because Asus is pretty good. I don't know too much about ASRock. I know quite a lot about Asus, so let's go with this. We got 2 RAM slots, two PCI Express slots, 1 PCI 16X. No, those are 16. Wait, I'm completely messing myself up. PCI 3.0 slot. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah. So we got 3.0 from that. For USB 3.0. There's that little bit of blue. Yeah. We do have some USB 3.0, which is excellent. Good. So how much do we have? What, like $230-ish? Not ideal, but you know. So for RAM, we might not be able to hit our 4 gig or our 8 gig that I would generally recommend with literally every system, because RAM costs a lot and it's really annoying. Okay, so I trust ADATA, trust Corsair, trust G.Skill. I'm not so sure about EVGA. I mean, it's EVGA, so I trust them with their RAM, but it's not ideal. So here we can see G.Skill has RAM for $10 per gig. That's only 4 gigs. How much can we? No. Okay. So now we're going to look at our RAM speeds. And if you don't know this, Ryzen benefits a lot from RAM speeds. So, I'm seeing this one here, or this one here. I'm trying to figure out what's the difference, or what the difference is. Let's look at them. Okay, so the latency might be different. Does it say? No. Heat spreader, yes. ECC, no. I might just go with these ones because it's black, and it looks like it has a bigger heat spreader, which honestly I don't know how much heat RAM produces, but I could imagine it's not too much. Depending on, if you're like video editing, it's probably going to use a lot, but you know. So yeah, let's add to part list. We might just go back for the silver one, but since this is the fastest one, we'll just go with that. Okay, this is actually not bad. We'll choose a power supply last. Let's choose our storage. Now, I can recommend an SSD in almost every system, in pretty much every case, unless you, in this case, don't have the budget. So, this Western Digital drive is the one that I actually started out with in this computer, but now I've moved up to an SSD, as well as that hard drive that I started out with, and a 2 terabyte hard drive. This is my YouTube one, this is my games one basically, and this is my OS and programs one. So, yeah, that's fine. Really the only thing that I was annoyed with the mechanical drive is it took forever to boot compared to what it does now. So, you know, it's 5 cents a gigabyte, and honestly, you're gonna be fine with a 1 terabyte drive, unless you're me, which in that case, you have an insane amount of files. Yeah, let's choose a case. So, Corsair 100R is generally what I will use, because that's the case I have and I love it. So we might go with that. We'll change it if we have to later. Power supply, we're not gonna achieve this. Okay, we'll go back to the case. Let's do power supply last, actually. So we're gonna need a graphics card of some form. And almost every good card is out of range for this build. So we may have to sacrifice for a GT 1030, or yeah, 1030. But also Radeons are pretty good. AMD Radeon. We're not going to go with an RX Vega because that will cost way too much. So we should have a 1030 somewhere on that list. Maybe not. GT. Where's the GT series? 1030. Okay, so let's see. What's the price difference? Let's drop that down to low. So here's the 1030s. Okay, so we can get a 1030 for $70, or we can upgrade to a 1050 for $100. Now, this is the question. Will we be... Let's start with the 1050. This is an EVGA card, so it shouldn't be too bad. 1050 is a very capable card, I should add. Let's choose a power supply now. Go price low. So, I'd like to go with an actual brand that I've heard of, like Thermaltake here. Not like, I've heard of Rosewill, but $24 for a power supply is a bit too low for my likes. Here's an EVGA one that's got, what, 4.5 stars out of 100 reviews. So let's just go with that one. How many? Okay, yeah, good. 422, crap. Okay. So now, here's the question. So, let's get a case first, actually. I've heard a lot about Rosewill budget cases in the past, and I've been told that they're not terrible like other budget cases. Okay, this doesn't look terrible. It's not ideal by any means. But as long as you're not going to set it on a desk, I think it's probably fine. So I know we can get a Intel board for $50, and then we can get a, what is it? A G4560 or whatever it's called from Intel. So we should be fine. Pentium. Oh wait, do we have an AMD board? Of course. That would do it. And then we might re-choose our RAM because I'm assuming that's AMD optimized RAM. Let's go with the Celeron. No. Never go with Celeron. That's a processor just to be a processor. So G4560, 3.5 gigahertz or G60. We could go with this one. But let's see. What are our other options? Yeah, let's go with this super cheap one here. G4600. I want to know if a G4600 is better than a G4560. Because, okay, do we have a G4560 anywhere on this list? No, okay. No, CPU name, here we go. Here we go. G's. G4560. So that's $80. Then the G4600 is $86 for a slightly higher clock speed, which your games will benefit from. So it's going to make a lot more sense to go for this. And now I believe this has integrated graphics. Yes, it does. Now let's look at the specs on those, just out of curiosity. Intel for future mark, I guess. Just curious. I would never recommend going with integrated graphics over a dedicated graphics card, depending on the graphics card, obviously. It's actually not as terrible as I thought. I mean, it's terrible, but it's not as bad as I was expecting. Because, this is the one that, or no, where was it? This is the one I had in my, last laptop. Or in my laptop that I started doing YouTube on. So that's a okay card, or integrated graphics then. Okay. Sorry, the graphics don't matter on the card. Or, no, okay, we don't need this, don't need that, don't need that. Definitely don't need that. Okay, so now, I forget, do Pentiums come with coolers? Because I have not cared about Pentiums for a long time. Okay, I have the Gigabyte H110MA, so I'd ideally choose that one because I know that it's a good board. But it would appear MSI H110. Okay. What's the difference? Why do you gotta make... Oh, here we go. Right here. Why do they have to make this so complicated? We'll go with one of these. Micro... See, like, these look massive, but they're like the smallest piece of crap boards on the planet. What's the difference? No RAID support, obviously. Ethernet, SLI depends on GPU, or CPU, blah blah blah. Memory type, oh, would that be... No? What's the difference? Let's look at the board. One is just a different color, it looks like. Oh no, one of them has a VGA, which you honestly don't need, but since it's the same price, you might as well go with that one. Okay. Let's go with this one. Oh, yeah, I guess. Why not? Wait, what? Oh, cause H110 doesn't, function properly. You need a BIOS update, yep. Okay, that should work fine. But you could always just choose a different board. Because now what do we have? 410. Okay. No, 420. We might be able to find cheaper Intel optimized RAM. That's slower. Because Intel CPUs don't need as much, or need as fast of RAM as AMD, so you know, $10 per gig, that's actually really good. I mean, for current RAM pricing. I mean, I got mine for less than $5 a gig. But, okay, so Crucial, I don't like that there's just RAM here titled Crucial. Let's go with this one. I mean, it has no reviews, so let's just go with this one, I guess. 400. We achieved it. A computer for $400, unless I'm forgetting something. Okay, that's without operating system, so, you know. But it would appear that we've achieved this. Granted, the graphics card pricing is pretty typical for what it's at. Same thing with the power supply, hard drive. RAM is way higher than it would normally be. Yeah, otherwise the rest is just fine. So, surprisingly, you can still build a PC for under, well, for $400. That's quite insane when you think about modern PC pricing. Now, this wouldn't necessarily be the best gaming PC, but it is a pretty capable thing. The G4600, you know, it's only $6 more. Ooh. Does this come with a CPU cooler? CPU cooler. Thermal design power. Include CPU cooler. Good. Yeah, TDP. We don't need that. I was assuming before I read that that was the cooler wattage rating thing. Yeah. That's pretty cool that you can build a gaming PC for $400. Now don't expect it, if you do build something similar to this, don't expect it to outperform like literally anything else, but it is pretty capable. It's not the best, once again, but you know, it's capable. So, thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye. I'll also have the link to it in the description below. So, thank you for watching.